Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be doing a health update video about my cystic fibrosis. I haven't done a video about cystic fibrosis in quite a while. I think I've only done one video about it, and that was like my daily routine of like medicines and nebulizers that I do. So today I thought I would do just like a catch up what's been happening with my health this year, because this year I think has been like the worst year for my health like in all of my life. So if you want to find out how ill I've been this year, keep watching. So I first developed a cough in kind of the end of January. So I went to the hospital just for a normal checkup, and they put me on 2 weeks of oral antibiotics, which I took and I finished the course. And then my cough seemed to get a little bit better, but it still wasn't gone. So I went back to the hospital. My next appointment was like 3 weeks after the one in January. Went back and they put me on another 2 weeks of the same antibiotics, and that seemed to work. After that 2 weeks of antibiotics, my cough still wasn't gone. This is in February time. I went to school during the day and then I came home and slept until 6 o'clock because the cough was just wearing me out so much. I got out of breath just walking up the stairs. I couldn't like talk for long periods of time without getting out of breath. Then in March I had my first ever appointment with my adult cystic fibrosis team. I did a sample thing that they sent off to the labs, which came back saying that I had Staphylococcus aureus, which is just a type of infection. So my doctor prescribed me ciprofloxacin antibiotics, which is what the children's doctor had prescribed me for 4 weeks already. So now I'm up to 6 weeks of our oral antibiotics. So then in April I went to a McBusted concert at the O2, which was amazing, let me just say. I went with 5 of my friends and 3 of them had meet and greet tickets, so they went and met McBusted before the concert. So me and 2 of my friends went and had a meal at Gourmet Burger Kitchen, which was really nice, but I had a strawberry milkshake, and I'm guessing there must have been like traces of peanut butter in there, because I ended up fainting and being sick everywhere just before the concert. But that meant that we got different tickets, so we got moved from right at the back row of the O2 on the top level to level 1, the bottom level, like row A. So we had an amazing view, and then McBusted, we could like see them perfectly and they could see us, and they waved at my friends because they had met them before, and it was just the best night of my life. So back in January my FEV1 lung function was 2.25 litres. I have no idea what that is in percentages because my doctors don't tell me. So then in April my lung function had dropped to 2.37 litres. So I made an emergency appointment with my doctor to see if I needed any more antibiotics or anything. So my doctor switched me from budesonide inhaler to Symbicort Turbohaler, which is basically, the Symbicort is a like combination inhaler, so it has steroids and like a Ventolin inhaler all together. People with asthma tend to have it as well as people with CF. And he also gave me a course of augmentin antibiotics. I don't remember how long it was for, but I'm guessing it would have been for about 2 weeks again. Then in June I had my next appointment with my doctor, and my lung function, my FEV1 had dropped to 1.95 litres, which is the lowest it's been in years. He said there was a number of things that it could have been to make it drop that low. It could have been a bacterial infection like Pseudomonas or Staph aureus, which was the most likely, or it could be ABPA, which stands for allergic bronchopulmonary aspergillosis. It's a fungal infection. It's like a allergic reaction to the fungus that's like literally everywhere. But he also said it could just be asthma. So he gave me flucloxacillin and ciprofloxacin antibiotics for 2 weeks. So now I think we're up to like 10 weeks of oral antibiotics, which none of them had worked or anything. So in June I had been having loads of chest pains in my upper lungs at the back. Every time I breathed in, it really hurt. It felt like I was being stabbed every time I breathed, which is really uncomfortable. So I mentioned that to my doctor as well, and he said that it might have been like fractured ribs or something just from coughing so much, which can happen, or it could just be pulled muscles from coughing as well. But that pain stopped hurting after about a week or so. He also then made an appointment to see me again in 2 or 3 weeks' time. But he said bring a bag with me, because if my cough hadn't gone and my lung function hadn't increased, then I would have to stay in and have intravenous antibiotics, which is a lot more effective than oral antibiotics. So I went back to hospital on the 22nd of June, and my lung function hadn't increased, so the doctor said they were going to have to admit me. I needed a 2-week course of intravenous antibiotics, but he said I could stay in hospital for 5 days and then have the rest of the time at home doing the antibiotics myself. So the first antibiotic that I had was called ceftazidime. I had to have that 3 times a day. I had to make up the antibiotic myself, so basically it came in a pot, like a glass pot, that you had to inject saline into and then mix it together and then draw it up into a syringe and then attach it to my PICC line. I also had to have tobramycin. That one was an infused antibiotic, so you basically just attached it to your line and then let it run through for an hour. And then I had to have heparin, which just thins the blood and prevents it from clotting inside the catheter in the vein. So this is my room. I had a room for myself to prevent the risk of cross-infection with other patients with cystic fibrosis on the same ward as me. So when they first admitted me, they had to put in a cannula, but because my veins are so rubbish, it took them about 3 or 4 attempts to get one in, and it took them 45 minutes to finally get a cannula in. They first tried, I think they first tried here, and then they went to the back of my hand, and then at one point I remember, you know the gloves that all the doctors have to wear, they filled them up with hot water and just like lay them across my arms and hands to try and make my veins more like prominent. So eventually they went in here. You won't be able to see it, but I still have a little scar. So they put a cannula in there, which usually lasts for about 3 to 5 days, but after the 2nd day it was all like swollen and red and painful, which means that the blood had clotted inside the catheter, so they had to take that out. So this is the cannula the day before the nurse came and took it out, and as you can see it's quite red and inflamed. A lady came in one afternoon before they had taken it out, saying that she had come to put a PICC line in me, and I was like, oh, okay, because I'd heard like nothing about it. She had to do it with an ultrasound because my veins are that bad. Basically, she did it here, you can still see where there's a mark. She put the ultrasound along to find a big enough vein, and then injected me with local anaesthetic so that I couldn't feel anything around here. It was a bit scary because I was by myself, my parents weren't with me, and I was 17, just like in a hospital room by myself, like, oh my god, what's happening? The line that she put in, she said it was a PICC line, but then my doctor said it was a midline, so I don't know what it was. It went in here, and then there was a catheter, which is basically just a tube, in my vein that went all the way up here. A midline would stop here, but then a PICC line would stop where your heart is, so that the antibiotics are going directly like into your heart to be pumped around your body. So this is the PICC line, and it was so painful. It felt like people were like punching me in the arm, and it felt like I had a dead arm for like 5 days or something. It was horrible. The next week, my arm, where the PICC line was all swollen and painful, and I couldn't move my arm, which you should have been able to do because it was here and it was like not restricting your movement. So I phoned my nurse, and she said that it was really bad and I needed to come in straight away so that she could take it out. So I did, and in the end I only completed 10 days of my 2-week antibiotic course. But the doctors were happy enough with my progress. So about 3 weeks ago I had my annual review, which is basically once a year you have like an MOT kind of thing where it's like loads of tests in one go, and they decide like what the plan is for the next year. So my lung function then was 2.38, which was an improvement, but it's still not completely up to my normal, so I'm still not feeling like as good as I did last year. My blood results came back and my IgE level was over 3,000. So basically IgE levels, they should be below 1,000. Most people's are about 10 or 20. Previously, when I've had ABPA before, my IgE levels have gone above 8,000. So being over 3,000 isn't a major issue, but my doctors thought it would be best if I started on itraconazole, which is an antifungal. I also had a CT scan of my chest because when I mentioned about the pain up here, they thought that the ABPA could be around here, so I had a CT scan just to find out exactly where it is, but I don't have the results of that yet because I'm hoping next year will be better. I hope this video was somewhat enjoyable for those who are interested in cystic fibrosis. If you did find it interesting or anything, please subscribe and like this video. It would really mean a lot to me. Also, please check out my social medias such as my Twitter and Instagram. They'll be listed down below in the description box. So thank you everyone for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!